Well, I think the quantifiable aspect is the salary.
Okay.
That's the easiest to measure. And it's a big part of your decision to join a company because, this is a factor that drives the economic engine of your life. But you cannot look at salary in isolation. You cannot look at it on an island by itself. You have to look at the culture. You have to look at, all of the other factors. And I think people, if there's something they value even more than money, it's how they are made to feel.
Your career is like a living, breathing organism, and building great careers requires nurturing them with strategic guidance. Hi, my name is Sawan Kapoor, and I'm India's leading career coach, also known as the Career Guy. Welcome to the Career Headquarters. Most comprehensive career podcast on the internet, where I will bring you groundbreaking insights on everything career related. Whether you're seeking a career abroad or wanting to switch industries, whether you are entry level or a mid-career professional or a senior leader, I have seen it all. As an award-winning CEO of one of the largest and most profitable beverage alcohol companies, my career spanned 3 continents, multiple industries, and provided me with an accelerated roadmap to the very top. So if you want to build an exceptional career and 3x your paycheck, this podcast is for you.
Welcome to another episode of Career Headquarters, the most comprehensive career podcast. Hi Sawan, how are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm good as well.
What are we chatting about today?
Okay, so today we're talking about a dilemma that a lot of job seekers face, and that is understanding the culture of an organization before you accept the offer. So a lot of business-related information about the company, such as revenue, profits, ratios, turnover, all of that is easily available relatively.
Right.
But that's not the case when it comes to the culture of an organization.
Yes.
So Savan, to begin with, can you explain why it's important to understand the culture of an organization before you join?
Right. See, the culture is going to be the single biggest determinant of your happiness in the job. Right. In fact, the Economic Times, they conduct this survey on job satisfaction every 5 years, and it's one of the most powerful surveys. They survey more than 1 lakh people in tier 1 and tier 2 cities in India. So it's very relevant to our country. And the number 1 reason for job dissatisfaction was bad relationships in the workplace. Bad relationships with your boss and your colleagues.
Yes.
So if you're not working with people you admire and respect, you're not in the right fit. And money can not fully replace that. Right? So without a good fit in terms of the culture, it does not matter how hardworking or how loyal or how intelligent you are. When you have a great fit, you get a much more supportive environment to work in. But if you don't have that, then you'll keep, running into dead ends. The culture will prevent you from being able to play at your very best. So how do you define the culture? The culture could be the codes of conduct, the expected behaviors, the norms, the processes, the assumptions in their industry and their business. Their go-to-market strategy and how they bring their services to life. It comes to life through their interpersonal interaction. So, the problem is that most people only come to realize the culture of a company after they start working.
Yes.
That is where the ground reality of the company really comes to the forefront. Each individual carries a unique personality. I mean, this is backwards as far as the candidate is concerned, because you're only getting to understand, will you even be able to fit into the company after you join them, right? Because there hasn't been a way to uncover this information before, right? So individuals are unique. We're 8 some billion on the planet, and nobody has the same fingerprint.
Yes.
So our experiences, our DNA, all of this is incredibly unique. And the factors you require to fit into the culture of a company can be uncovered before you join the organization. So you don't want to put yourself in a position where you love your paycheck but you hate your job because you're not a good fit in that organization, or you love your job but you hate your paycheck. I mean, both of these situations are fundamentally not sustainable. So it's very important to have that alignment in your value system. Now, that doesn't mean that there will be no politics at the organization. Wherever there are human beings, some little bit politics is there.
Yes.
Right? So, but when you come from the same value system, then your ability to diagnose problems is similar and your ability to look at solutions will keep you more on the same page. So it will be much easier for you to handle the little bit that does come up, in terms of politics. And there are other strategies to counter that as well. But that is where, it's very important to understand the culture and to ensure that you're a good fit before you join the company.
All right. So most companies have a lot of information on their website, their values, information about themselves. And in today's world, social media presence is very important and companies are active on social media. So the information that's available online that companies put out, do you think they reflect the actual happenings inside an organization?
In a nutshell, the answer is no. Now, I'm not trying to stereotype all companies to say that they are not being genuine. That's not the point here at all. But you have to understand the context. See, in the job search and application process, just the way a candidate is going to put their best foot forward because they have something at stake, they want the job, the company will also put their best foot forward because they also want to attract the best talent in the marketplace. So, by design, the candidate is marketing himself or herself to the organization, and the organization is also marketing themselves to the candidate.
Yes.
Certainly, how a company projects itself is important. A well-made website, being present on social media channels and handles, taking part in industry forums and initiatives, publishing articles, white papers, all of this is important to, keep yourself at the leading edge and to let people know that you are one of those companies that is at the leading edge in your industry. But that may not give you the behind the scenes view of the ground reality of the culture. And this happens a lot, because a lot of people land up joining a company to realize that the job description on paper and how they are expected to behave in reality are two very different things. Yeah. So it's a good starting point. It's that initial information, but you need to go deeper, right? And you need to go deeper than even online reviews, right? So there is a process that I built to allow an individual to get such deep insight into the ground reality of the organization because there is no conflict of interest. So it is entirely a game of positioning, right? How you position yourself will determine what information you will be able to access. So that's how I would answer that question.
All right. You spoke about forums such as Glassdoor that allow employee reviews. Can these reviews be trusted?
I mean, they have a certain value. It's a forum that evaluates, the senior management or the leadership of the company, the CEO of the company. Do employees have faith in that CEO or not? What's the kind of pay? What's the kind of attrition rate? So they're looking at all of these things. But a review is a one-way statement in time, right? So one has to again understand the context because, for example, a disgruntled employee, even if they are disgruntled for the wrong reasons, even though they may have been treated fairly, they're just venting. And they are putting this review out there that will remain fairly permanent in this space and time, right? Which is doing injustice to someone else. Because it may actually be a wonderful place to work, but there are 3 people who reviewed it and one had a disgruntled view. So now 30% of the review, the strength of the review says that it's not the right place to work. So it certainly has value. I mean, you trust that people will follow the fact that they will give a objective assessment, but it can be gamed. The system can be gamed from that perspective. So I feel that there is value in this, but true value, you will only be able to understand the real power of cultural information when you understand that context of how to go deeper. See, in life, you get to choose your friends. You get to choose who you keep a relationship with, outside of your work life. But you don't get to choose who you're working with in organizations, right? So there is an existing set of people personalities at play. There's an existing value system at play. There is existing conditions at play. And either you fit into these conditions or you don't, right? So the idea here is to be able to uncover the information of whether you will be able to fit into that organization or not. And I learned this the hard way. I was dissatisfied with my salary at a particular job, even though the culture of the company was phenomenal. And my ambition was greater than the return that the company was able to provide me. They were providing a healthy return for most people, and people had long tenures at this company. But I desired more, and I was willing to work for that. And I had already proved myself in that capacity. So I decided to shift jobs, and when I shifted, jobs, I did not evaluate the culture of the company. I looked at the salary number and it was significantly higher, and I said, wow, this is amazing. And I jumped headlong into that new opportunity. But the value systems were very different. And, I came from a company that was very autonomous in how it gave you the power and the authority to take decisions, which also meant that they allowed for failure, right? Because you're not going to take the right decision every time. The ability to take a good decision comes from experience, and experience comes from taking bad decisions. So, failure was really treated as a stepping stone there. But in the new company, everything was very hierarchical. And again, it wasn't wrong. It wasn't their fault, because they were a very fast growing company, a tremendous amount of success. So it was my duty to fit into their mission. And the amount of change that was expected of me in how I worked, I was unable to achieve that level of change. So therefore, I could not last in that company, right? And that company, both of these organizations, they're both fantastically successful organizations. So, the idea was to be able to uncover that culture. And had I known that, even though it was a much higher salary, I would have probably not gone for that job. So when you're burnt once of mistakenly drinking hot milk, you will even try to cool down the lassi that you might be taking a sip of. Because milk and lassi look the same in a glass, right? So, in Hindi, it is an idiom, doodh ka jala chhaj ko bhi phook kar peeta hai, right? So, I learned this the hard way. And I learned it is such a critical factor, because your peace of mind, your happiness, your sense of self, the ability to contribute, the ability to learn, all of that goes back to how well of a fit you will make in that culture. Your long-term career prospects, your growth, all of that goes back much more to culture than it goes back to a quantifiable variable like salary. So I think it's a very, very critical thing to learn, so that the success that you experience as you grow your career, or as you fit into new roles or positions or promotions or organizations, you have done everything to heighten the chances of your success in that role.
All right. Sawan, in your experience, what are the best ways to ascertain the cultural aspects of an organization?
Well, that is going into the system. So, see, when you start interacting with the company, you're going to interact with two types of people. I call one first connects, and I call one first researched. Okay. So first connects are people who are not decision makers, right? Their only role in your candidacy is going to be to provide you that ground reality if the right context is set up, right? And first researched are people who are decision makers. So these are people who have the authority and the power to give you that job, to say yes to you as a candidate.
Can you give us examples?
Right. So, it may be the hiring manager that is first researched.
First research.
Right.
Okay.
And first connect may be an employee in another department. Right. So because they also work there, they have insight to the culture and they can tell you their experience of the culture of the organization. But the hiring manager is a decision maker, right? So that may be the supervisor that you eventually report to. So it's the context that you create, right? So you have to position yourself free of conflict in that context, right? If you are a job seeker, then again, you will be marketed to just the way you are marketing yourself to the company, right?
Yes.
So it is when we use 23 different strategies very specifically based on the situation of the individual, the industry, the function that they are in, to uncover this cultural information before they land up accepting the offer in that interaction stage. And I can tell you, this has got such a high success rate because when you do it right, the amount of insight with which you're walking in to interact with the company by itself will blow their socks off, right? And it was really this, being burnt in my own life because I made a decision to join a company without evaluating that culture. This is what brought that to the forefront, because when I was let go from that company, I mean, I had a very short period of time to get another job or I would have to leave. I had a very short window I had some 32 days. You get 10 days from your last paycheck. So they were going to pay me to the end of the month, which gave me 22 days and then another 10 days from then. I had 32 days to be able to get myself another job. Now, the typical time it takes to get a job, at least for me at that time, it was 3-4 months. I didn't have that kind of time. So to start looking traditionally for new jobs on the internet and then apply and then be shortlisted and selected and then go through the interviewing process and get them to make a decision, I just didn't have that kind of time. And that is where I had thought and built this system enough to say that, what, I'm not going to look for jobs the traditional way. I'm going to go this way. Because the cultural insight you're looking for, you're looking for, how aligned are their teams? Is everybody pulling in the same direction? Have KPIs been mapped to roles and departments? Is there clarity around the goal? Where everything is a priority, nothing is a priority, right? So is there an appropriate strategy supporting those goals? Then are there appropriate resources allocated for implementing the strategy? And what about their executional discipline? Right? That's where the rubber meets the road. So, it's this kind of information that you're looking for. And then understanding how that game of positioning works, understanding what is the true opinion of employees, because companies can have a beautiful website and lovely brochures and all of that is in place. They can market themselves well, but the ground reality of working for them may be very different, right? And then you want to understand the management style. You want to understand how influence works within the organization, who is facing what kind of situational pressures. So this process does just an amazing job of helping you understand the reality of their management, their leadership, the on the ground situation of how they hire, how they fire, what their core values are, not just the marketable reality of their situation. So I would say that that is what this really enables.
So if a job seeker is in a situation where they're choosing between different offers and they want to choose on the basis of organizational culture, what are the aspects that they need to keep in mind before making the decision?
Well, I think the quantifiable aspect is the salary.
Okay.
That's the easiest to measure. And it's a big part of your decision to join a company because, this is a factor that drives the economic engine of your life. But you cannot look at salary in isolation. You cannot look at it on an island by itself. Yes. You have to look at the culture. You have to look at, all of the other factors. And I think people, if there's something they value even more than money, it's how they are made to feel. Right?
Very true.
So if there is an opportunity where, if there are two opportunities and in one, you're not getting paid as high, but you're going to get mentored. You're going to be challenged. You're going to have opportunities to grow your career, right? You're going to be involved. You're going to be appreciated. there is a sense of collectivism where, you feel you're a part of something bigger than you. There is a sense of mission. And you are empowered. You're not micromanaged. People are not giving you something and then, scolding you at every opportunity in how you're executing that particular thing. And you're trusted, right? All of these are elements of how the culture of a company lives or comes to life. So I think these are the things that you need to look at. Will you have these opportunities? So and a lot of people reach out because our students will generate multiple offers, and then when it comes to this cultural assessment, they'll say, okay, so how do I choose between offer A and offer B? And that's what I tell them. We've examined, that you fit really well in both opportunities, but here, this is what the culture is enabling, and this is what the culture is not enabling.
Yes.
And this is what it means to your career's progress, right? So even though the salary may be a little less, it seems this is emerging as a winner. What do you think, right? And I haven't come across a situation where the candidate or the student will feel otherwise. Because we do a lot for money, we do more for a good leader, but we do most for a belief. And that's where when the belief systems match, the environment that you have, those intangible gains are even greater in terms of value to a career than just salary. I think it's well said that, if all you have is money, you're really poor. So, I'm not trying to take away from, either side. I mean, finance is going to be, the money aspect is going to be a very important aspect because it directly enables the quality of life that your family and you will experience. But at the same time, you have to look at all of these other factors and how they play in the total mix.
All right. I think you've brought about a lot of clarity on this topic. Sawan, if someone wants to start the journey of accelerating their career with you, what can they do?
Come attend our masterclass. You'll find the link in the description on this video, and you'll find it on all of our social media. Because that will help you understand how this system works, how it allows you to target companies where your unique skills, talents, education, experiences, your knowledge, your qualities are very custom made for the kinds of challenges and opportunities they face, and they are able to provide you that environment where you can prosper, right? So come understand the system, and once you understand the system is where you will be inclined to say, hey, you know what, I want this for my career, because this is a system that is putting the power back in the hands of the candidate.
Yeah.
Right? And this process, the job search and application process, is designed by employers for employers. The candidate doesn't really call the shots. So this was just an attempt to take that control back, to say that I need to have more say over the factors of how I get hired, what my position is going to be, what my responsibilities are going to be, how I'm going to transition from one opportunity to the next, the start date, the notice period, all of those things, how all of that will work in the totality, that needs to be understood and examined.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank
See
you.
you in the next episode.
Yep.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Career Headquarters, the most comprehensive career podcast dedicated to building exceptional careers. If you enjoyed this conversation, please share this with someone you think would benefit from the ideas and the insights shared on this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on Spotify, Apple, Google, Overcast, Castro, or Breaker. If you want to learn more about building an extraordinary career for yourself, I invite you to come attend my free Power Up Your Career live workshop. In this workshop, I will teach you the step-by-step process of landing your dream job in less than 90 days. The link to register is in the description below, and I will see you live at the workshop.